back at it again with another Crash Let's Play. But don't worry, you're not watching this alone, because right before I started this Let's Play, I spent 10 minutes on ChatGPT trying to get it to make jokes about Sandy Hook.
What an odd thing to say.
But the best I could get was it making some really lame jokes about Adam Lanza. I mean, come on, they weren't even mentioning the Dance Dance Revolution he was playing for 10 hours a day. It didn't mention his anorexia, didn't mention the fact that he killed himself. There were so many great things to make fun of him for, but it was just giving me some vague crap. Now, apparently, I actually got a little bit of flack in the comments section in my last video for making fun of the Hurricane Tortilla Kid and calling him gay, but you got me all wrong. Okay, just because he's a doesn't mean he's an asshole. Come on, I wasn't really making fun of him for being gay. I was just pointing out the obvious fact that he was gay, okay? Is there anything wrong with that? I really don't think there is, because that's what scientists do all the time. They observe traits and identify them. Call me fucking Jane Goodall, because I identified that little gay kid fucking 10 years ago when I was like 12 years old. I was like, hey, this kid is acting sort of like the other kids at my school who I think are gay. My spidey senses are tingling here. Oh my gosh, this kid's probably queer. Bro, I fucking love hitting these skips here on this pit. Like, if you don't know how to do these skips, get the hell out of here. If you never figured that out when you were a kid, you're a stupid freaking low IQ noob. You know, Super Mario 64 is down the hall and to the left if you want to play a kid's game. This is E for everyone. Everyone. Not, like, on Nintendo it says that just because it can't say this game's for babies. That would be bad for sales. For Crash Bandicoot, they really meant it. Crash is actually cool. Cool as hell, might I add. Cooler than Sonic, because Sonic actually thinks he's cool, which is why he's lame. Crash doesn't know he's cool. That's why he is cool. Mario, he's, for the family. He's not trying to be cool, isn't cool. So, things worked out for him. But Sonic, get a fucking grip, dude. And the only reason I'm being so harsh on Sonic here is I have heard the allegations. Sonic was molesting Tails in Sonic 3 and Knuckles. He was molesting him behind the scenes. Whenever Yuji Naka didn't have the cameras rolling, he was fucking sticking his hand down his pants saying, Tails, does that feel good? Does it feel good when I do that to your penis, Tails? Why did you do that, Sonic? He was just a fucking kid! Okay, so this is a question only for the white people here, so if you're not white, don't fucking answer this question. Alright, so what up, my honkies? So when you were a kid, was there ever something that happened, and then years later when you were reflecting on it, you realized, hey, that was racist as shit? Okay, so I had a friend in elementary school, and I remember, so, important context here, so like every custodian and like cafeteria worker at our school was black. Okay, so I remember one time my friend asked me, he's like, hey, do you think that like all the custodians like sing We Are Family together whenever like nobody's around? I was like, no, what the hell are you saying? He's like, really, you don't think that they do? And then he was like pointing out like two of the black custodians were like laughing with each other, and I was like, well shit, maybe. I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility, but I need seeing. Seeing is believing with that kind of thing. I really want to see them singing We Are Family together. But I know for a fact that that kid's parents were racist, so that was sort of why I was thinking back on this. Like, wait a second, this is all making sense now. Bro, the snow level is so much fun. The snow level is awesome. I wish I could play this level every day. Nah, I can't play this game every day. But, I'd get bored of it. That's the thing. You can't do the most fun things every day or else you'll get sick of them. Like, I wish I could play Crash Bandicoot every day, but I've really just been getting back into it recently. And I haven't been playing every day, just like 2 or 3 days a week. For an hour or two each one of those days. But who really cares about that? That's reasonable behavior if you ask me. It's not like I'm one of those freaks who only plays the Naughty Dog trilogy and Crash Team Racing. If you are one of those people, get the hell out of here, genuinely. Insanity, good game. Wrath of Cortex, flawed, but still fun. Crash 4, freaking awesome. Bro, I really hate this new wave of, like, true crime, like, that's mixing it with, like, horror stuff. Like, Nexpo, Nick Crowley, your guys' stuff could be so much better if you would forego the shitty VHS aesthetics trying to make it look like a creepypasta. Like, you're talking about real shit. Have some respect here. Have some actual respect. Like, I'm being serious. Like, they will genuinely be doing, like, the craziest, like, edits and will be talking about some real person that got murdered. Like, genuinely, I can tell any of those guys, I seriously doubt any one of their family was murdered or anything bad happened to them like that, because then they'd realize it's a bad idea. Alright, enough ranting about those guys, because their stuff is still good, but they really need to get rid of their stupid aesthetics, and people like it. That's the crazy thing. So I really should be complaining more about the people who watch it. Why do you fucking... Oh, no, wait. I shouldn't, because they're just watching it because it's good like me. No, but people do like the VHS shit. Why do they like it? But most people, I bet, really don't like it. It's just a vocal minority of insane who actually do like it that are ruining the internet right now. But forgiveness can be a wonderful thing. My sister finally forgave me because when I was in high school, I was going on Instagram, like spreading false stories on fake accounts that I made, saying that she was a bug chaser and that she had HIV, and she was trying to spread it to this guy who was actually gay. And I didn't like him, not because he was gay, but I did use that as kind of a thing where, she wasn't actually trying to fuck him because he was gay. So there was some plausible deniability there where maybe they wouldn't actually think it was her, but I could still make her look like a piece of crap. Well, she found out it was me, and we really didn't talk for a couple of years after that, even when we were living in the same house. It was kind of just a crazy situation that everybody rolled over, but things have finally started to improve. Like, she didn't just forgive me, but it was a couple months ago, so like, in the grand scheme of things, it was pretty recent, but it's not like recent where it's not like I just got the blue gem, like I did earlier. Did you get that callback? Because I got the blue gem. You ever played this game? You know how to get that blue gem? Yeah, you don't break any boxes on the first level. So if you notice that in my gameplay, why wasn't I breaking any of the boxes? Well, that's because, that's what you're supposed to do, you dumb piece of shit. Not to go off on a whole tangent, but I really hate Smiling Friends new gen fans. They are genuinely so annoying. They hate the Brazil episode. They hate the Brazil episode because they don't actually enjoy real comedy. They just like bright flashing colors and crazy things happening every 2 seconds. They don't actually think the show is good or the characters are good, because otherwise they would like that episode. But I will admit, part of the reason is just these new gens, they weren't there for when that dropped. It was so funny because they hyped it up for like a couple months before that there was going to be a Brazil special, and then the special is just them arguing in the airport for 11 minutes. Like, that's one of the funniest ideas for an episode I've ever heard. Like, was it actually that funny? Not really, but it was still really funny though. Just like that, the whole like concept, that whole scheme where it's like, yeah, we're gonna tell them we're gonna make a Brazil special, and it's just them arguing in the airport while they were technically in Brazil. That is some smart writing. Michael Cusack, Zach Hadel, you were some pretty funny guys for that. Maybe it was another writer on the crew. I don't know exactly how that situation was set up, but the point is, Zach Hadel's a pedophile, and Michael Cusack's a oh fuck. Yeah, just for clarification, I don't actually think Zach Hadel's a pedophile. Like, that's just a joke, but since I made it for a second time, like, I think I needed to clarify, just because that's, like, a real accusation. I don't want some fucking retard to watch this video and then call the cops on Zach Hadel and get him swatted. I would never want him to be handcuffed and then put into a police car and embarrassed. I wouldn't want that in a million years. And then he gets raped in prison. Which, might I reiterate, I do not want him to be raped anally with no lube. I don't want that. And I don't want him to come either. The great big psyop in society is trying to convince you that big-titted girls are better than, like, big-ass girls. But what they don't tell you is, like, the big-ass girl, when she's old, like, her ass isn't going to be sagging 3 feet down from her butt. But her breast on the other side is a completely different story. But this is also another thing I will give feet guys credit for, because the feet, like, they're not in the sun as much, so they age better than most other body parts. So, like, some tits probably get fucked up the fastest. So tits are kind of the worst thing to be into. But legs and feet kind of get protected from the sun usually, unless this bitch is like a suntanner. But that's why you don't want to be dating these suntan girls. Like, you need these girls, so you need to be putting 70 FPF sunscreen on your girl every day if you don't want her to wither up before she's 30. I'm being 100% serious. Like, maybe don't tell her that's why you're doing it, but just say it's like, oh, I don't want you to get cancer. I don't want you to get skin cancer. That's the kind of show you got to put on, because you really don't care about her at all. You just want to fuck her. She's just an object to you. No, I'm kidding. That was a joke. Was that taking things too far? Not really, but I just felt a little bad there in case there were any women watching this. I don't want them to feel excluded. Men bad. Men rape and kill more than women, but men are funnier. That's really like, so women will be saying, oh, men kill and rape more than women, but women aren't funny. Women and men, that's just subjective. Who's actually funnier? No. Like, men can actually take the heat. Yes, we are violent and probably more horrible than women on an average basis, but women aren't funny. Like, are those two connected? Maybe in some sick, twisted way they are, but I truly don't think they are. It's just a coincidence. It's like Magnolia. You seen that shit? Okay, if anybody here, if you're a kid watching this, get the hell out of here. But if anyone here wants to be a history teacher, like in 20 years, so let's say you're like 30 now and then you have some like late in life crisis where you want to be a history teacher, you need to teach your kids the downfall of LS Mark, because talk about a good YouTuber who started to make mediocre content. Okay, I'm going to tell a 100% true story. Actually, this one's true. I know I said that before, but this one's true. I remember when I was a kid, I was playing with my 3DS, and I was like looking at the stylus, and I just tried sticking the tip of it in my penis hole, and that shit stung so bad, like genuinely. I don't get how people are into that stuff. But man, that's the end of the story though. So I have an uncle who's like really into internet stuff, even though he's like 50 years old. and I saw him like a couple weeks ago for the first time in probably like 8 months. So I was like, what do you think about clavicular, Uncle Blank? Because I don't want to say his name. And he's like, what do I think of clavicular? I think I'd be surprised to find out he lived to be 30. I was like, wow, Uncle, you're so funny. Nah, I just made that whole story up because I wanted to say that thing about clavicular, but I thought, what kind of framing device should I put in for that statement? And then I decided, okay, let's put it in a story because that's something like Wes Anderson would do. Like, have you seen Grand Budapest Hotel? I was thinking something along the lines of that. I was watching Jeopardy the other night and I was thinking, I am so glad Ken Jennings is hosting this and not Matt Pat. Because Matt Pat tried making some petition, or maybe it was one of his fans, but there was a petition to get him to be the host of Jeopardy with 100,000 signatures. And I'm so glad that thing was just completely ignored. And I really wouldn't be bringing this up if Matt Pat never said anything about it. But there's a podcast appearance where he's being extremely arrogant whenever the co-host brings this up, and he's saying, it's like, yeah, these TV executives, they just don't understand the internet. They don't get it. The internet has power. It's like, yeah, they do get it. They just don't want your ass. They don't want fucking the host of damn Game Theory to be the fucking Jeopardy guy. Jesus Christ, Matt. Get a fucking grip. Bro, iDubbbz sucks so much, and I'm not even talking about like just now. Like, the arc that iDubbbz had where he was a stupid like edgelord back in the day who did like heinous shit and kind of got away with it, and then sort of like softened up and became a good little liberal. Yeah, like I know so many of his fans people who were fans of him in middle school who went through that exact same arc where it's like, oh, so you were like basically a complete piece of shit who bullied a kid to suicide, but now as soon as high school starts you got dyed hair and you're fucking bisexual. It's also so funny to me that people started to dislike iDubbbz whenever his wife started an OnlyFans. Like, that's one of the funniest ways to go out, because if iDubbbz hadn't been a person who completely thrived and succeeded off being negative and being a dick towards other people who did usually deserve it, but that makes it so if you do anything worth that's like deemed getting laughed at by anyone who's, you know, normal and not some pro-sex work brainwashed zombie by the Illuminati. See, I did not say Jews there because I actually do believe that that is some psyop genuine by some freaky people who want fucking girls to go into sex work as soon as they turn 18. It's not Jews though. There's probably some Jews in there just because that's how fucking society works. Like, there's probably black people in there, there's probably white people in there, there's probably Asian people in there, there's probably Jewish people in there. There's all kinds of people in there. The point is, they're freaks. And it's so funny, like, how did Sam Hyde completely call you out? Like, Sam Hyde damn predicted the future. He was saying, like, probably 6 years ago that if he stays with that woman of his, Anissa, that name coming out of my mouth sounded like chlamydia. Blah. But she was saying, yeah, you gotta dump Anissa. That bitch is Yoko Ono. He was right. iDubbbz is right. He wasn't right when he raped that woman in broad daylight, but he was right about that. Okay, does anybody remember that really disgusting bald fucking punk YouTuber who made those videos and nobody liked him because he was really annoying and he had stupid opinions? And then whenever he eventually quit YouTube, he was just saying, yeah, I made enough money that I never have to make another video again. And also, I was just LARPing the whole time. I didn't actually care about any of this stuff. It's like, fuck you, buddy. That was such obviously not the case. So the fact you really tried pulling that like you were 12 years old, even though you're fucking like 40, that's embarrassing as hell, dude. As I always say, get a goddamn grip. I wish I could say that if I was alive in like the 1800s that I would have been like one of those people that was like helping to free slaves and was super against slavery. But to be honest, I probably would have been one of those guys who was kind of against slavery, but only once I was in my 20s and it was too late because I had already been whipping slaves since I was 8 years old. But I would never tell, like, if I saw a black person and I was like, he's like, yeah, I support your cause, I wish slavery was illegal, I would never tell them about like me whipping. I would just act like that never happened.